Hey you guys, welcome back to Romance Review TV with Lady T, and I got another recap for you guys. Married at First Sight, Season 15, San Diego, Episode 9. So look like our Season 15 couples are hitting some relationship highs, while others are experiencing marriage lows. We're going to recap our latest episode, Are You Going to Gaslight Me? So before we unpack all of this, take a second to make sure you're subscribed to this channel to receive all updates. And please don't forget to like and share. So without further ado, let's unpack this recap. So we're going to start off with Morgan and Ben first. Now, it starts off where Morgan looked like she's trying to put her best foot forward. She decides to plan this special date for her and Ben, where I guess after experiencing some bumps on the honeymoon, she want to try to reset their whole connection with this mermaid class. So they put on a fake tail and kind of jump in the pool and flip and flop around for a fun time. Then during another date at home, we see Ben preparing a Korean barbecue meal for Morgan so that when she walks in the door from work, they can just sit down and eat and have a meal together. Now, she does appreciate the gesture, and they end up talking kind of openly about their past, particularly since Ben struggles to meet his father's expectation and explaining how that impacts his behaviors early on in their marriage. Now, she finds the whole conversation encouraging at this time and tells Ben that she wants to help him reach a point of self-acceptance, which is good. Now, Morgan and Ben gets a little bit more vulnerable during their drink and question session when she recalls her previous relationship, labeling it as a right person, wrong time type of situation. Now, he reflects on his past as well, saying that there was the one that got away as he, endured some challenges in his life in the midst of their potential relationship. Then Ben pushes to open up about his relationship with his father, which had impacted certain aspects of his life. And for that particular reason, he projects his insecurities on others like Morgan. Now, Morgan and Ben talk about things and how they're getting better for them as the days pass along, noting a marked improvement from, what happened at the honeymoon. And then finally, at the end of the episode, we see this whole situation in the apartment where the cameras are capturing this argument between the two of them, in which she says Alexis told her everything. And it looks like Ben had supposedly been telling lies about Morgan behind her back, and she now knows. It looks like some trust has been broken between these two at this point, and we got to wait till next week to find out for sure. But I will say it looks like Morgan may have some unresolved childhood wounds. She seemed to be kind of cold, broken, with holds all of her nurturing and affection and gives nothing in return. I don't know. It sounds like this is how it was from day one. I will say I was happy for Ben being able to share such mature personal insights about himself. And I don't know, I thought he should have got a little bit more of a loving response, at least a hug or something, but we didn't see. But we got to wait till next week to see what all this is about. So next up is Lindsey and Miguel. We're going to talk about them. And look like Miguel got to meet with one of his friends to discuss concerns about Lindsey, because we remember Lindsey got quite emotional over the fact that he wouldn't add her to his healthcare plan unless she took his name. Now, Miguel's friend Steve worries that, Miguel is turning off his red flag detector. But Miguel reassures him that he's taking everything into consideration, including her more emotional moments, which definitely concerns him. Now, Lindsey and Gail did discuss grace in this episode and how she's willing to give it when she likes most things about him, But he, on the other hand, is less forgiving and open to, granting grace. Now, Lindy pleads with Miguel to not keep score in their relationship, but instead, reset when they have arguments or setbacks so that they can thrive and move forward. Now, when it comes to Lindy and Miguel, she brings up how she wants her husband to see her crazy side, but that, she's been holding back out of respect for him, and he doesn't like that. And originally, I gotta say, I thought Lindy was, pretty much a breath of fresh air until she actually became this hurricane. It kind of seems like she's on the mature side. She's kind of rigid, a little bit demanding in her rules and expectations. And instead of maybe putting some work in with herself and minimizing her scary, crazy behavior, she's insisting that Miguel kind of see it and accept it at all costs. No, Lindy, you got to learn to be respectful. And thankfully, Miguel has boundaries. And, with her desire of not wanting to, work, her irresponsibility to not have her own health insurance and no plan to pay back her school loans, for some people, including Miguel, looks like a red flag. So we'll have to see how these two move forward as the season progresses. Now, this leads us over to Nate and Stacia. So we see in this episode, Nate is growing frustrated with Stacia when she wants him to explain when he might fall in love with her. And they are talking in circles. He says he's inclined to give up on their relationship if she tries to pressure him, as he sees her tactics as being manipulative. Now, after getting into a whole spat of their own at home, Stacia and Nate try out a cooking class together to try to hash things out. Now, after feeling pressured by her to say, "I love you," Nate explains that he just wants to understand why she's pushing for it. And she admits that she's fearful that he won't fall in love. She's not comforted when he asks her to have a little faith in him. So they're also the first couple when Pia Holick comes to speak to the couples to get candid about their feelings. And yeah, they discussed it. And Stacia, she says she's falling in love quickly, but he lagging behind, which raises concerns as she wants assurances. Stacia also tells Pia that she's been lonely and vulnerable inside the relationship with Nate, as he needs reassurance that he's on his way to falling in love. On the flip side, meanwhile, he complains that his actions should be enough to prove to her the effort he's putting into the relationship. The man has signed up for therapy. Now, as this whole event winds down, Stacia and Nate heads back to their apartment where they sit down and have a conversation. He's upset that she's not seeing any of his actions as proof of his commitment. Now, she argues back and says that she needs to see a deeper side to him, but Nate is convinced she's not giving him the proper amount of time to do so, leaving them in a precarious position. Now, the thing is, as much as Stacia is so accomplished, I do see a lot of insecurities there. To have that need and the demand that Nate must love her now, she just need to relax, be present, be patient. Don't create a smothering environment. We're only at day 22. She needs to just relax and just chill. Allow him to move at a pace and come to her, and they work together to come to each other. She needs to, see that the value that she has, and that you don't want to manifest an outcome that you really don't want. Because if you keep saying that, guess what's going to happen? So, and I know a lot of people have issues with Nate and what we saw since the beginning of the season. But at this particular episode, he does seem like he's communicating very well where they stand, and he is open to therapy. So I got to give him those brownie points. So let's talk about Kristin and Mitch. So one evening while preparing dinner together, Mitch listens to Kristin talk about her career goals, which include a desire to flip homes one day. Now, considering his stance on the sustainability and social justice, Mitch isn't quite taken with the idea, and his less enthusiastic reaction kind of take the wind out of Kristin's sails. Now, the discussion turns tense as she tried to get him to see it from her perspective. Meanwhile, on the other side of this thing, Mitch and Kristin go on this whole karaoke date where he get to see her let loose and she get to witness her husband's knack for freestyle rap. Now, the evening doesn't quite go as planned when they have an argument about his reaction earlier that day to her career goals because she brought that up. Kristin, of course, as we mentioned, one day hopes to flip homes, provide housing for families, and it doesn't quite align with Mitch's views, which leads to some tension. They go on different dates that include a beach cleanup. He's happier, but she explains that she wants him to appreciate the effort she's making to fit into his world, hinting, he needs to consider her dreams as well. Now, Mitch tells Kristin he isn't even sure he's ever been in love before, and she explains that, she has, and she suffered because of it when the relationships ended. Now, when it came time for them to meet up as a group, the wives present their husbands with these new blue striped shirts, with the men unaware that they're being tricked into wearing that same shirt. All is going smoothly until Mitch refuses to wear the shirt, forcing Kristin to pull him in the bathroom and let him in on the joke so she can convince him to put it on. Now, he arrived wearing the shirt for the other men to have that realization moment, but quickly turned around and did a top post reveal because he took that shirt off. He did not like it. So again, as the couples, met with Dr. Pia Holick, presenting them with all of these emotional wills, encouraging them to share how they're feeling in their new marriages. When it comes to Kristin and Mitch, Kristin worries aloud about how she's letting herself get a little lost in her relationship with Mitch as she's trying to adhere to his sustainable lifestyle, and she's hoping to kind of find more balance in the weeks ahead. I know a lot of people are calling Mitch a real piece of work. Cheap, rigid, inflexible, uncompromising, insensitive, self-absorbed. That filthy house he was living in, he had a pretty good week. They had a pretty good week last week, but I guess the desire to kind of balance it out. She comes in with a background and a lifestyle. He comes in with whatever it is. Somewhere along the way, they need to meet in the middle. Right now, it seems like she has to do all of the adjusting, whereas he gets to live his life completely like it was before he was single. Yeah, you're no longer independent, Mitch. You're interdependent. So, they got to figure out and kind of blend in the differences that they have. And last but not certainly least, Alexis and Justin. So, Alexis and Justin, they go on a picnic date on the beach to talk about the most recent developments in their relationship. Talking about their approach to dating, Alexis admits that if there wasn't the added layer of marriage to the relationship, she called herself a track star. She would have already broken up with him, bringing up the whole debacle with her dog's health and Justin's lack of sharing details regarding the pup's well-being. Now, I will say, where were you for those 48 hours or those 2 days to not know any of that? That was my biggest question last week. Now, Justin tells Alexis about the time he was in love and how blinded he was from how, he was used by his partner. He explained that it stemmed from the one-sided love that he was shown by his father and how it influenced how his behavior is in relationships. Now, Alexis is just asking for trust, telling Justin that that's the most important thing for her. Justin is the first to speak up when they talk with Dr. Pia holic and admitted that he, you know, gets emotional. But Alexis get annoyed with his response and lets her opinion be known. You can tell by her facial reactions that as much as he was on and on and on and on and on, looked like took up most of the conversation in that point, yeah, she wasn't hearing it. I mean, and the way it sounds, it looks like Justin was tripping on his words. It looked like he was kind of throwing a lot of mixed messages. And Alexis, on the other hand, even though she tends to be a great communicator, she also tends to create narratives in her head based on her fears. I mean, Justin seemed to be a sweet guy. He got a lot of confidence, you know, and being vulnerable and open. But I think he kind of lost his whole footing in the relationship when he kind of, according to what we heard, withheld quote unquote information on Newton and that whole interaction at the candy store. But I don't know. Could this work? Alexis might be checked out at this point. I mean, I think it could if they kind of, you know, bring it together and reel it in a little bit and give them what they're both asking for from each other. But we'll have to see. Okay, so there you have it. The recap for Married at First Sight, Season 15, San Diego, Episode 9. I would say some of these people might be a little bit mismatched. Honestly, it looked like Kristin and Miguel maybe should be together. As for Lindy, Morgan, and Ben, because Lindy got a lot going on and her erratic emotions, Morgan, she got a lot of walls that she needed to break down, and Ben, him and his frugality, and Mitch, he'd probably be fine just being solo for, you know, his life, because he has a real, you know, connection with the environment and trying to make a positive impact on that. It's going to have to be a special person to match up with that, who enjoys exactly those types of things without having to make such of a big change in their lives. So we'll see. Month anniversaries is next week, and we'll see how that goes. Look like one couple might be done. I don't know when it comes to Morgan and Ben, but we'll have to wait and see. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.